Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Chronicles of Hollywood History, past, present, and future. Welcome. And here now, Corey Gomez.
Hello everyone and welcome to the Chronicles of Hollywood History. This is Corey. Today I am joined by actor and stuntman Tom Morga. You may know him as Jason Leatherface, but I got to start out here. Well, I got to start out first with the simple question. How did you get started in the business?
Oh, well, Corey, I just fell into it. No, actually, I wanted to do something. I got a degree in college, and I was working for the Forest Service because I got a degree in biology, and I was working in Montana as a smoke jumper. A smoke jumper is a specialized firefighter for forest fires, and for transportation, they use an airplane and then jump out with a parachute. So at the time, they were doing an episode of an old TV series called Wild Kingdom, Marlon Perkins' Wild Kingdom. Mm-hmm. And they went up to Montana and they shot an episode with smoke jumpers. And here I am jumping on an airplane, landing on a tree, and digging fire line on a TV show. And so that kind of sounds fun. And I'm from the LA area. I'm, near the studios. I said, well, I'll go check out the stunt guys. So I went up to Universal Studios, talked to one of the stunt guys that does the stunt shows up there, and he gave me a little lead to go to a stunt guy that has a class he was doing, kind of unofficial, but, he had young guys he was training, and I just went in, signed up, and as soon as I got there, I loved it. All that action and stuff, I just stuck with it and never turned back and never used my degree. I just became a stuntman.
Now, in 1980, I saw a movie that blew me away, and you got to do the stunts in it with arguably one of the greatest guy that does his own stunts ever. Do you have any memories of Battle Creek Brawl with Jackie Chan, his first U.S. film?
Oh, God, Jackie Chan. I sure do. That was a great shoot, and it was something at the beginning. Now, you know Chuck Norris.
Oh, man.
You know who Chuck Norris is. Well, I took Chuck Norris karate when I first started because I wanted to learn some martial arts to apply to what I was doing in the stunt world. And Pat Johnson was his top instructor. Pat Johnson did all the Ninja Turtle movies. He did a lot of stuff. He was a coordinator. Mm-hmm. And he was doing the Battle Creek Brawl. And so he needed guys to fight with Jackie Chan, and I'd been taking karate there at the studio, so I and a few other guys got to go down there, and we were in Texas, and it was so much fun. And this Jackie, whoever he was, I didn't know, he has so much talent. I mean, he could fly and jump and do all the neatest stuff, and so we had a few stunt things to do. He got to kill me a couple times, and he was really great. I really thought he was cool. I thought he would take off right from there, but it didn't get his career in the United States as much as I think it was a movie that really hit for him.
Rumble in the Bronx.
Rumble in the Bronx. That's right. That was so good. But he had talent. There's no tricks to that. He did that stuff. And it was a lot of fun. I was real happy to have worked on that.
Yeah, I think he has his own team and everything that goes with him. Like some of the stuff he does is pretty elaborate.
Yeah, he had a couple guys with him, and he had a fight in a theater in the film. He's in this theater checking out the bad guys, and he has a fight with a guy who has two butterfly knives, and he doesn't have anything, so he kills me and another stuntman, George Fisher, and he takes our ties. And then he goes after the guy with a butterfly knife and strikes at him, and he wraps his wrist with one tie. And then the guy comes the other and wraps his wrist with the other. Then he does a turnaround and flips the guy over his head, lands on the ground, does a front flip, lands on the guy with his back in the field. And this was his guys who took, who doubled for him. It was so cool to watch this guy work. It was like a machine. So it was really, like I say, it was a real treat.
You did a lot of the early Star Trek movies, too.
Well, I did Star Trek the motion picture, yes. that was quite a deal because they kept talking about Star Trek making a feature, and they should do this. And they dragged their feet, and they weren't. And finally, they say, okay, and Star Wars comes out, and here they're doing Star Wars and racing for the theaters, and they kind of got eclipsed by Star Wars. But I did Star Trek, the motion picture double Spock, and did a couple of Klingons, and then I did 4 of the movies, and it was a really good experience. But I had about 20 years of Star Trek from when I did the first movie, and was it 78? I forgot the date. And I worked on Next Generation, Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and Enterprise, all those TV series for years, almost 20 years off and on. I played every alien you can think of that was bigger than a frying pan.
Now,
so,
were you a pretty big were you a Star Trek fan?
Not a big fan. Of course, like everyone, I liked Star Trek, but I wasn't a big fan. I hadn't seen all the episodes and stuff like that. So, of course, I was familiar with it. I just wasn't one of these. And there was a few guys that worked there. Hey, they were fans, and they were so glad to be working on Star Trek because it's such a great, one of their big deals. But it was a big deal for me to be doubling Spock. I mean, I had his kind of the bone structure, and I looked pretty close to him once I got made up. So I was very fortunate to be able to get that. I doubled him through several of the films, and of course I did lots of characters, and then of course aliens and everything else all through the different series.
Then you did another big hit. You were Harold Ramis's stunt double in Ghostbusters, right?
Yeah, that was another real fun thing that we had no idea it would be a hit. It was when computer graphics was starting out, and they were telling us, well, they got this thing they're doing with they're going to implant some ghosts with a computer, and you're looking at the wall, and they're doing this and they're doing that, and I remember the stunt coordinator for that one that I was working with says, "Hey guys, this thing sounds like a turkey. We don't even have production meetings." I mean, Harold Ramis, the director, he's just got this thing in his head, and he's not giving us lots of information. I'm not sure what's going on, but just make sure you cash your check. That'll be it. And my God, it was the greatest thing. And then, to see it come out, and it's still got a following. There's convention where guys dress up like the Ghostbusters, and it's still going strong. It's quite a deal.
I have a big Stay Puft Marshmallow Man resin head in my office. So no, I saw it when I was a kid. It still holds a special place in my heart.
Yeah. And I think one of our stunt guys, Tony Caesar, did the fire part of that because he was a pretty good fire guy. And he said it wasn't easy doing the fire with that melting thing and all the stuff in that scene. But yeah, it had a lot of good action and a lot of good stuff in it. I thought it was a great film.
I want to mention your horror stuff, but there's just a couple ones I want to mention first. Another movie you were in that I think is criminally underrated. It's actually one of my favorite movies. Was The Experts? Where you were Peaches double in that. That around here that didn't even play theatrical, which was a shock. No. John Travolta, has always been a big star. But do you have any memories of that one? I really like that film a lot.
Well, yeah. Let me think now. The Experts. I don't want to get confused with. Who was it?
That was Travolta and Ari Gross. They were in Russia, but they thought it was like they were setting up a nightclub for Nebraska.
Well, didn't they have to get in an airplane and fly back? Yes. And they couldn't get the flaps to flop, so he climbed out. That was me. Climbed out with a rope, and we're circling the airport about 2,000 feet, and I'm out on a rope, hanging on out the window, jumping on the flaps. That was quite a cool experience, different, but we rigged it up. You really can't see the cables, but I got a cable on that attaches to almost the leading edge, which was an inspection port we could open up and cable into, and then the cable that ran right down the rope I was hanging on, so I was kind of triangulated, or at least had two ropes holding me. And I remember when I did it, they said, "Hey, well, do you want a parachute?" And I said, "Oh my God!" I'd already been a smoke jumper. I'd already jumped out of airplanes. And I was fully aware of the hazards of a deployed parachute when you're hooked up to the airplane. It just stretches you out like spaghetti. You don't want to have a parachute if you can't get out in the air. So anyway, all I asked for mainly was to have goggles so I could see.
You got to work, too, that same year with, in my opinion, the ultimate tough guy of movies. I don't think there'll ever be a tougher. Any memories of working on Kinjite with the late, great Charles Bronson?
Yeah, Charles Bronson. I did a fight with Charles Bronson. He didn't have a double. It was great. I mean, the man himself knocked me around. He sent me into a little cabinet with glass shelves and beat me all up. I was playing this... I think he was a pedophile, the guy who was a bad guy. And, I tried to give him a karate kick. He stopped me, did this, did that. I forgot all. But it was a great fight to me, actually, fighting. We all grew up with heroes. And Bronson was one of my heroes because I'd seen him in all like Western movies. And Kinjite was like, of course it was after. I think, had he already done Death Wish yet?
Yeah, oh yeah.
But, yeah, he'd done that. But, I mean, Shadow's Land and all the different films he had done, he was so great. And it was great to work with him. And he was just real easy. He knew what he was doing. So it was a great experience.
He was a legit tough guy, wasn't he?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you have any
he had a presence.
Do you have any memories of Blind Fury with Rutger Hauer as the blind samurai? That's another one of my favorite movies. I think you can tell what kind of movies I like.
Yeah, well, that's good. Yeah, I had some fun on that. I had a problem on that one though. I was going to do an air ram, which is a device we use to step on. That it's like a box with a lid that's pressured with nitrogen, and it flips the top of it up like a hinge so you can jump on it, and you have a button that presses and releases the pressure, and you can actually get launched for that. Well, I was going to do that scene where he gets killed at the end. Mm-hmm. Who was it? Who was the bad guy? It was I can't remember, but he gets cut in half and he goes over the
Shokasuke
balcony. Yeah, he goes over this, and I was going to double him, and for whatever reason, this is one of these strangeness. Everybody up there, and we were doing it in Reno, near Reno. Great snow area, great snow season, and I had a few days off, and everybody was going to go skiing. And so I had to stay, and I went up there, and I hit something. I turned myself inside out, and I almost separated my shoulder. I could hardly move my arm. So the next day I came in and said, "Hey, the coordinator says, geez, look what happened. I can't get my arm, I need a few days." "Oh, God, we can't do it. We're going to shoot it." So they brought another guy in to do that scene. But, one of those few incidences where something happened that was unexpected. And there's been several incidences through my career where I had some stunt set up, and for whatever reason, and this was probably a fault of my own, one of the only times I can think of that I didn't get to do it. But that was great. Rutger Hauer, he practiced he really worked hard. Steve Lambert was the karate instructor and taught him so much stuff, and he really got pretty good at it. And that was an interesting film.
It was great. I loved it. Another one I liked, and I have to ask because I always hear basically from one extreme to the other. You did stunt work on Deadly Ground with Steven Seagal.
Yes, I did.
Some people will say what a great experience it was working with him. Most will say otherwise.
Right. Especially stunt guys.
Yes.
I mean,
I heard he could be kind of rough.
Yeah, I know you could speak to several guys. I don't know if you know who James Liu is.
Oh, yes. I spoke to him. He was a great guy. Great guy.
Oh, he's an expert. He's been on, Kung Fu Magazine. He's the real type. Mm-hmm. And I was with him that day up there, and I was to do a special shot. Now, the reason I got to work on the movie is because they wanted to do a scene where Steven Seagal is attacked by a guy with a knife. And as he comes with an overhand knife, Seagal does he does his own karate move, turns the knife around and jams it through the guy's forehead. And this is going to be what they wanted to do. So what they needed to do is to have a head mold so they could make the head and jam a knife in it. And so they called down to effects and makeup artists and said, hey, listen, we need a stunt guy. Do you have but we need to have him right away, and we have to have a cast in his head. Do you have anybody you've already cast? One of the guys that worked on Star says, well, I have a couple of Tom Morga. They says, call him. So I got the job. Now, I went up there, and Seagal had his own move, which is a pretty, you grab your wrist, twin it around, and grab the knife, and it can be pretty hazardous if you don't do it right, because it's, and a lot of guys working with Seagal, he hammered it. I mean, there's a lot of stories you probably heard about. Seagal was not real easy with people. When he brought his own guys in, they had to take a hammer. And I remember James Liu, he's an expert. He says, I'm fighting Seagal. He was doing the day before or something. He says, man, when you're fighting this guy, you go with everything. If you twist your arm one way, you go with the other way. If you hit your foot, and he was able to keep up with all the moves, or he'd tear the ligaments out. So James Liu was safe because he was so good. But there's other guys that they got thumped. In my scene, Seagal was great. He was fine with me. He says, here's how we're going to do it. I'm going to take it this way. And I just went with what his move was, gave him my hand, twisted my arm, did the whole thing, and it wasn't a move that's going to throw me on the ground anyway, so it worked just fine. And I had nothing but a good experience from my scene with Seagal. But it was great to have worked with him, I was fortunate to do a lot of these different things with different people that were real action fighters.
Yeah, you got to work with all the top action guys.
I had a lot of them. I was real fortunate, like I said, and I guess if you work long enough, you get a few bones. So,
in the you did the Shawshank Redemption with Tim Robbins and Morgan Freeman. How did Andy Dufresne hang that poster back up? Does anyone have any idea? Because that's always bothered me.
I don't know. But I'll tell you a story. On Shawshank Redemption, it was a lot of fun to be able to double for Tim Robbins. And the stunt coordinator, old cowboy, he was from the Stuntman Association, and he'd been around a long time, a well-experienced guy, and he called me and he said, hey, listen, I want you to double, you're the right size for this actor I got here. So I go up there, and it was in Ohio, and it was at the prison, one of the prisons they were using for, locations. And he says, the main thing here is we got this guy, you're going to double Tim, but we got a high fall in this thing. They got a scene where the guy who they beat up is on the third tier of the cell block, and they're going to drag him out of his cell block, and they're going to throw him over the side. And as he falls, Morgan Freeman is going to be looking up and see him fall by him. He's at the second tier, and the guy's going to go past Freeman. Freeman's going to turn his head. They're going to reverse shot of you, and you're going to go down, and then you're going to hit a cart that's a maintenance cart with, brooms and mops and buckets, and you're going to hit that and hit the floor, and then you're paralyzed for us. Wow. So I want you to go get yourself your airbag, pick you out another stunt guy to help throw you over the side. We're going to do this. So I got to organize it, and I went back to L.A., got all the equipment, got the airbag, came back, brought another stunt guy. We were all set and practiced it. We had it all worked out. We showed the director the day or two before off the second deck what it's going to look like that when you do a fall. And it was called, this particular fall is called a face-off, where you go face first all the way down and just twist at the very end. But that gives you the shot like you're falling face first. Anyway, had it all set. The day of the shoot, I'm walking in. We're all ready to do it. And here's the coordinator up there, and he's giving me the no sign. He's like, cut his throat. No, cut. What's happening? He says, they don't have time for all that. They can't do all those shots. So, the storyboard's too big. They got to cut that. So they're dumping that one. And so in the movie, when they get this guy who is, who's accosted other people in there, I think he was, I forgot who the actors, but he was in the third tier. They went up there and just beat him up with a nightstick. You heard him yelling and screaming, and that was it. Mm-hmm. And I thought, man, what a great shot this is going to be. I'm going to be able to do it. But I did do a lot of stuff for Tim Robbins. As a matter of fact, I helped climb down, to the escape and come out the pipe into the river. And then on the next shot, I played a guard who found his shirt. So I discovered myself.
Here's one that probably no one asks you about, but I'm a fan of the movie and I'm a fan of the star of the film. You did some work on The Rage with Lorenzo Lamas and Gary Busey. Do you remember that one at all?
Oh, God, yeah. That was out in the desert, wasn't it? I think I did Busey. And Busey was quite the character. Let's see. Wait a minute, let me think. Give me a quick synopsis.
He was a cult leader. And there was like a Waco type thing, and Lorenzo was the agent that was after him. I'm a big fan of Lorenzo.
Yeah,
nice guy.
Yeah, they had a big scene in the water with a boat, and a guy got blown out on fire.
Yep.
Is that right?
Toward the end. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I didn't do the fire burn, but I was with him. I'm the guy that lit him, and then fell off the boat as he flew over me. So I'm in the scene, but I didn't do all that, cool stuff. And then there were several other things we did like that, and fights and things. And I think we ended up going back to a kind of a airplane yard, like mothballs, and we did something and we were working in the fuselage of I'm not sure what aircraft it was, but we did something in the fuselage inside. And did a fight there. So yeah, I remember. That was good. Gary Busey.
I was just going to ask you.
He's a character.
Is Gary Busey insane, or is Gary Busey play insane really good?
No, I don't call him insane, but he's a personality of his own. That's what I think. Well, he doesn't. He marches to his own beat of his own drum. So. That's it. And he can come off, interpreted different ways. Everybody, gets their own opinion.
Well, I'm hoping to meet him one day. When I do, I guess that's when I can form mine. Now, you were, of course, as we're getting ready for Halloween, Halloween 4. The Return of Michael Myers.
Yes.
That's considered by a lot of people the second or third best of the series. And I put it up there high, too. It's very good because it was filmed, to me, I saw it as a hybrid of a horror movie and an action movie. Did you, what was it like doing that? Because that was like, Michael Myers had not been in a movie in a long time, so that was a real big deal when it came out.
Yeah, that was called The Return of The Return of Michael Myers, but there's no film you do that didn't have some little twist to it, and this had a little controversy in the sense that there's another stuntman, George P. Wilbur, and you may have heard of him. He got credit for being Michael Myers because I did the first half of the movie. They had a change with the director, and they took out the DP and a couple of camera people and whatever it was stuff, and the producer decided he wanted to change some things. He wasn't happy with some of the dailies, and for whatever reason, I'm not sure if he thought I wasn't big enough, but they had this thing that, we might get a different Michael. And there was a rumbling of that earlier, and I thought, the coordinator told me, he was not happy with the first scene because, the director shot it like a regular movie, not like a Michael movie, and so he wasn't real happy. And I think he was talking about getting a different Michael. So I had no idea. And then all of a sudden, halfway through the movie, they changed a lot of things. And one of them was me, and George came in, and he finished the movie, so he got credit for all that, which is, since then people have known that there was another guy. Mm-hmm. But I did a lot of fun things on that film, I thought. I got to drive the tow truck through the first scene when Loomis is shooting at me, and I killed the service station attendant with a giant pry bar, and I put the mask on in the discount. What was it? Like a drugstore.
A drugstore, yeah.
Yeah. When Jamie first, when course, see me, or at least, the girl screams in the back of the store because she saw me. And then I went to the school and did a couple scenes with her. And then when they were boarding up the house where the sheriff was, and the sheriff gets killed, and then the girl, I think her name was Kelly, she got impaled with a shotgun. That's the last kill I did. I impaled her in a door. And then they changed things around, and then George took the rest and did stuff in the roof and the rest of the film. But I had fun up to there. I had no idea what the story was about it. In the first scene in the little diner attached to the service station, the stunt coordinator is Fred Lerner, and he was, we were pretty much, knew about the character Michael. He was like indestructible, and he was, you see him, then you don't see him, and then he's there, and then, so the idea is that if Loomis is going to shoot him, he will shoot the gun, and then we see Michael standing there. We see Loomis shoot. They look back, and there's no Michael. Mm-hmm. So to do that, we put a rope around my waist, and he stood off to the side, and I was in the back of kind of in the kitchen part of the restaurant, so you saw a long shot. And as soon as he shot, he pulled me out of the way, and then the camera could see me there, not see me there. And it would make a perfect match for, making the cut. And the director said, "What are you doing?" And Fred said, "Well, we're getting Michael out of the scene instantly, so you have a good cut, and so it works." And "Well, I'm shooting him with a gun." He says, "He has to take a shot. He got hit." "What do you mean?" "Well, have him fall up against the counter there and put some dishes or something on, knock it down, let him fall, like he's got shot." "Really?" "Michael?" "Okay." So I did a nice number and knocked down stuff, fell down like I was shot. And when Dailies came out, I think that was the first part that kind of soured the producer on me. He says, "What's he doing? Who is that? What's going on?" I don't think the director jumped up and said, "Well, I asked him to do that." I think that was my interpretation. I'm making up what I think it was, but I have no idea the real facts. But I know that it was after that things kind of got a little sour. We did that great scene in the garage, breaking through the door, explosion through the gas pumps, etc., and then driving into town and a few other things. So I thought we were doing fine, but whatever. Stuff happens. But George P. Wilbur, the second half of the movie.
You got to work with my friend, Kathleen Kinmont, on Halloween.
Yeah.
Lovely lady.
Yeah, you know her. Have you interviewed her?
I've interviewed her. I've done a few things with her, actually. I just talked to her shortly before I talked to you. I always joke she's my only friend.
She's a sweetheart, yeah. I've seen her before at a convention where she was, and got to say hello to her after, 30 years.
Well, then you also got to do Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning.
Yes, Jason. That was really good. Now, that one, I was the Jason character, and the killer was actually the EMT driver. Mm-hmm. And he was until the end of the movie, he gets revealed as the killer. So they kept it going till the end, and then they, all of a sudden, it's the actor. It was Dick Ween who was the actor. It was an ambulance driver. Well, Michael, that just broke a lot of people's hearts, And I, at the time, doing the movie, did not know I was not the real guy, because they had a couple different masks, and I'd trade off once in a while and say, "No, I'm wearing this mask." And I'd be doing Jason in a flashback, or in the last scene behind the door in the hospital, or a couple times where I was, the real Jason, and I thought I was just flashback or a memory, and actually it's the other way around. That was the real Jason. I was playing a copycat guy that wasn't the real Jason. All the things I did that I thought was really cool Jason stuff was not Jason.
Mm-hmm.
And I did have a lot of fun with a different kill. I thought we had some really good action shots. I mean, the different kills and stuff. My favorite was that front loader when the tractor came out and hit me. That was fun to set up.
Now I'm going to hit you with one more horror film here because it's taken up a lot of your time.
Awesome.
What do you have any memories of? I mean, it's considered a horror. I consider it more of an Abbott and Costello comedy. Army of Darkness, the third Evil Dead film.
I didn't do much at all. I was a skeleton, and I wore one of the skeleton outfits and was attacked, and Campbell came at me with the other guys, and we just got killed. And it wasn't very long in the movie, but I did work on it, and I had no idea at the time. I didn't know it was going to be a classic at all either, but I did one of the skeletons. I remember that I was 6'2", so the skeleton outfit was not made exactly for 6'2". I had to stretch it, that thing but it worked. Yeah. So we made it happen.
I mean, that's went down in history as a classic.
Yeah, it's well known. I've worked with him before. He did Briscoe County Jr. after that.
Yeah, that was a great show. I wish it would have lasted longer.
Oh, I know. I got to do a great sword fight. It was a story about a sea captain that was working in the desert when he had his boat out in the desert, and it was an odd story. But anyway, it had some neat sword play in it, so I got to do some sword fighting.
No, I love Briscoe County. I liked how it was kind of a blend of the old Wild Wild West show, a little sci-fi thrown in there. I was sad when it was really good.
Yeah, it's like you say, we're kind of feeling the Wild Wild West and James West. So that was kind of cool. I did a few of them. When you're a stunt guy, you go in for one day and fall down, get hit, get shot or something. So I did a couple of things and those. That was a good show. I watched a lot of those myself. I was kind of a fan of Briscoe County.
Oh yeah, I bought the box set when it came out years ago. I'm a Bruce Campbell fan. I hope to interview him one day. It's sad that people don't really talk about that show. They always talk about the Evil Dead, but they never really talk about Briscoe. I thought that was actually criminally underrated. Yeah, excellent stuff. I thought. Oh, I loved it. Julius Carey was great in it. It was just a great show in general.
Yeah. Bowler, who played Bowler? He was great.
That was Julius Carey. Yeah.
Yeah, he was great. I liked him.
Another one you did was Independence Day. Am I correct?
Well, I was on the show, and I was just basically a passenger, and it was one of those shows that I did one little thing in, and there's a lot of movies, like even for instance when I did Friday the 13th, I was called in the credits. I was called Double Roy. And nobody for years knew I was wearing the mask. And when that finally came out, it was a big deal. So you don't know what's going to happen. In Independence Day, I had one itty-bitty scene I'm listed in the credits as stunt guy. And all the action that went on, I hardly did a thing. So it isn't like something I even have a lot of memories of because I was only there for one day. But it was a great movie. It was.
You got to work with Hulk Hogan a couple times too, didn't you?
Yeah, I did the what was that called? You got the name of it?
You were Suburban. You were a mime in Suburban
Commando.
I was like,
yeah, I played a mime.
Yeah,
it was kind of cool. All the things you do that help you in your career. Like I studied karate, like I said. I took scuba diving. I did tumbling stuff. I did all kinds of things that would apply to my work as a stuntman. But when I was in college, I took a mime class. I had no idea it was going to have anything to do with it. And I learned to do the rope, the ladder, make a box with my hands and all that stuff. And so all of a sudden they need this mime guy, and he's supposed to be doing a box. He's trapped in this box, and Hulk Hogan comes to Earth, and all of a sudden he's looking around, he sees this guy, and he's, caught in a force field. Here, I'll help you out. He takes a big swing, knocks me, tea kettle, and they liked it. They said, so let's do another one. So they did another one. And they, oh, let's do another one. So they finally had me run off after the last time he knocked me or did something to me. I ran off and started yelling at him, so I'm talking as a mime. Leave me alone. Get out of here. So they made a little bit out of it. I thought it was really great. It's kind of fun to work with him. He's everything he looks like. He's a big dude.
Yeah, I remember when I was a kid, little kid, just as a fan, I got to meet him at a wrestling show, and yeah, that's definitely a sight to behold, to say the least. He was massive. See, he was a very nice guy. You know, I guess it was a brief meeting, but he was very nice to me.
Yeah, he was great with his little Hulkster kid, you know. That's when he was still the good guy.
Yeah.
When he went Hollywood Hogan. And then he did that series, Escape Paradise, what was it called?
Thunder in Paradise, yeah.
Thunder in Paradise, yeah. That was a good TV show. I thought he did well.
He did with him and Christopher Lemon.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Christopher Lemon. It was one of the Lemons.
He had that, what's the name of that ship, the boat he had? Oh, I forgot the name of it.
Oh, yeah, I don't remember the name of the boat. It's like that's the Knight Rider boat, the super boat that he drove around. It was pretty cool.
Oh, I forget. It's too well known, you know. But it was cool. It's cool for him to have that. Yeah. Wow. That was great.
One more I got to ask you, because you on 3 occasions have worked with my favorite actor, I believe the greatest actor of our time, currently in Hollywood, Johnny Depp in the Pirates of the Caribbean films.
Yeah, I did 4 pirate movies, and they were so much fun. Like I said, I like sword working. Johnny Depp, he's a great guy. I'll tell you what, he was really accommodating everybody. He's an A-list actor, so everything is geared for him. He doesn't necessarily hang around the set a lot because he has his own dressing room trailer, etc., and the director shot to everything with him in mind about accommodating him. So when it came time for Johnny Depp, everything's okay. Johnny's coming. He'd be on the set, and he'd be doing his scene. He'd do his stuff, and then he'd thank you and leave. And then sometimes he stuck around. I know he had his son on the set one day, and we were working in town. I think it was at Warner's, maybe it's at Disneywood, and the boy comes running by or something like that. He's looking at me because I'm dressed as this pirate, and Johnny goes, "See, he's a nice pirate." You're trying to get his kid not to get scared. And I said, "Yeah, I'm a good guy." You know, I shook his hand. But Johnny was, everybody he talked to, and he'd take pictures once in a while with people. They told us, now don't talk to Johnny, don't bother him, don't ask for pictures. And so some guy, hey, can I get a shot? Sure, come on. He was good with people. Yeah.
So, I mean,
great actor. Nobody knew what he was doing. They were doing these first few scenes, and he was being Jack Sparrow, and they were worried because the dailies didn't look like the Jack Sparrow they had envisioned until they got to know what's he doing, and then they finally realized he had developed a character. It was almost like Brando. When he do his stuff, you just let him do it. That's all, because it's going to be good.
Well, you've been in, everything, not just horror. Everything, all the greats.
Well, a lot of different ones. Yeah.
Is there?
I missed a few good ones, but I got. Yeah.
Do you have a favorite?
Oh gosh, that's tough because there's so many neat things in all different kinds of movies and TV shows. I enjoyed doubling Bruce Boxleitner in Scarecrow Mrs. King. I did that in the 80s, and that was a lot of fun because we got to create stuff and do a lot of neat things. Of course, all the Star Trek I did, there was really, there was kind of inventive things you do to make the shots work. And individually, there was a lot of neat stuff that you could do at different movies. To say there's one film, I can't give you one that was the best that I always thought. I had fun with so many other different ones that I know. I work with Robert Conrad, in a movie you did called Assassin, and I doubled he was a robot type guy, and I had to jump out of a 4th story window, do a front flip, land on top of the car, crush the roof, run off the hood of the car, and down the street. And another guy brought another car in, slide in to stop me. He was trying to stop me, and I used an air ram, like I told you about before, the same device, and jumped over the car right away. And Conrad is in this, looking out the 4-story window, and he says, "What the hell was that?" You know, kind of thing. So that was kind of, you know, that sequence, that little thing was really a lot of fun. The movie was a TV motion or movie of the week. I don't think many people saw it, or I didn't hear much about it, but that was a lot of fun to be able to create that. All different cuts, all different ways to get each part of it to work. But in the edited version, it looked great. So it's hard to pick out a whole film without just looking at things you've done through the years in different movies.
Well, you've definitely done a lot of great ones, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us tonight.
Well, it's my pleasure. Glad to do it. I hope you enjoyed it.
Oh, I enjoyed it a lot. I'd like to have you back so we could dig deeper into some of the other mini films that you've done.
Well, you took a pretty good shot at it.
Yeah, there's a lot more out there, though.
Well, you did your homework, so you checked me out. That's pretty nice.
Oh, you know what? Every movie I've mentioned to you, I own, and probably a lot others. I have a insanely large video collection.
Yeah, I know. Don't we all?
That's what passes the time in a pandemic.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, Corey, I enjoyed it. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, thank you. I hope you can come back one day.
All right, you bet. You have a good one.
You too.
Thank you for your time, ladies and gentlemen. You have been listening to the Chronicles of Hollywood History. Thank you from Gomez Richmond Productions.